The following announcement has been paid for by Perched on the Top Rope.
Yo, it's Rickey Shane Page, RSP, and you're listening to Perched on the Top Rope, somewhere I go very often.
Welcome, everyone, to Perched on the Top Rope. And as you heard from that show opener, we have the MLW National Openweight Champion, Rickey Shane Page, from The Calling. And ladies and gentlemen, ahead of MLW/WTF's One Shot, the National Openweight Champion, Rickey Shane Page here, is getting set to take on Jimmy Llyod, who, Ricky, just beat one of your Calling members, Cannonball, in the Thumbtack Pit of Death match. Does that draw any concern to you prior to this match coming up?
No, not really. I've been in the ring with Jimmy before. I've known Jimmy since he was like 17 years old. I think I met him at an indie show. I'm not really afraid of former child stars, so I think we'll be okay. All
right, then. Now, today on X, Matt Cardona actually posted this, and I'm going to share my screen with you real quick.
Okay.
So you can see just exactly what I'm talking about. Now, Effie had tweeted about Jimmy Llyod, and Jimmy here, as you can see in the little image, Matt Cardona quote tweeted it saying that Jimmy Llyod is his broski. Now, if I'm not mistaken, you helped Matt Cardona defeat Nick Gage.
Yep, sure did.
Matt Cardona is on this same pay-per-view taking on the MLW heavyweight champion, Alex Kane. So I have to ask, knowing that you've helped Cardona, and now knowing that Cardona is saying that Jimmy Llyod is his broski, what would happen if Matt Cardona interfered in this match tomorrow?
Well, I don't think Matt wants to do that. Matt likes to talk about being the deathmatch king, but he's really not. And I'm sure he's just working Jimmy somehow to make some more money just so he can buy some more little wrestling dolls. So I'm not worried about Matt Cardona. The only reason I helped him is because I absolutely hate Nick Gage.
All right. Now, what about your former tag team partner who also, Akira, who actually came to the aid of Jimmy Llyod at that same MLW TV taping where he defeated Cannonball? Is he going to be a concern of yours if he interrupts?
I mean, he's always going to be a concern. He's like an annoying little brother that I just can't get rid of. I'm trying my best. But again, I think combined, both of these, Jimmy and Akira combined, aren't smart enough to really surprise me. So I think I'll be okay.
Okay. Now, it's funny that you bring up Cardona and dolls.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing that MLW has their own figure line, could we see a Rickey Shane Page action figure in the future?
I hope so. That would be absolutely wonderful. That's a goal of mine. I'm not a collector myself, but I think it's every wrestler's goal to have an action figure. So I'm hoping that's going to be coming. I know there's a new line coming out. I'm not exactly sure who's in it. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Awesome. Now, I'm really excited for MLW's One Shot. But one thing that has me excited about it, besides the fact that we're going to have all this action, there are superstars from all over the world taking part in this pay-per-view, but also from other companies like New Japan Pro Wrestling, Tokyo Joshi, CMLL down in Mexico. How important is it for MLW to have these relationships with these companies all over the world?
Oh, I mean, it's super important. I mean, this is how it's always been in wrestling, is having working relationships with other companies, across borders and seas and whatnot. That's how it's always been. That's how it should be. I think that wrestling got away from that for a long time, where it was a bit us against them, where I think everybody knows now that there's enough pie to go around, and if you just help each other out, everybody eats a little bit more. So it's a necessity to have these relationships, and especially with CMLL, which is, you know, like the longest running wrestling promotion in the world, like 75 years or something, which is insane. And then, you know, New Japan is the biggest company in Japan, and yeah, there, it doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah, it's honestly really incredible. And coming up in 2024, are there any companies that you would like to see MLW work with that they haven't worked with?
Um, there's definitely, I mean, there's places in the UK that I think MLW could work with, you know, places like TNT or Progress, Attack Pro Wrestling, Rev Pro. There's all sorts of places, you know, there's definitely a built-in, you know, thing with Rev Pro there, because I know Rev Pro works with New Japan as well. So I'm sure that Olive Branch could be reached out there. I mean, I think MLW just needs to keep doing what they're doing and build good relationships with people, and just be a positive force in the wrestling space.
I like that. I'm all about the positivity with others like that. That is really cool. Um, MLW had also posted on their social media asking the fans who they would like to see be brought to MLW in 2024. Who would you like to see come to MLW?
Oh, man. Oh God, I don't know if you have enough time. Um, the Miracle Generation, their tag team out of the Northeast, Kylon King and Dustin Waller. They are absolutely amazing. I sing their praises everywhere they go, wherever I go. They're super young. Um, Cody Lane, he's the Southern Flamingo. He's wonderful. I think that he definitely could add some stuff, some likability and character to the roster. There's another tag team out of the Kansas City area, and they're called the Premier. Campbell Myers and SK Bishop. That's another team that I really like. There's a women's worker out in the West Coast called Amira. She's really good. I just found there's like two other girls I just found. I can't remember their names right now. I'm always on the lookout for young wrestlers. So Alex Daniels is someone that's out of Ohio. Ashton Day is another person that's out of Ohio. I mean, the list goes on and on. It's not just these people that everybody on X and Instagram like. There's a ton of good wrestlers out there, and there's a bunch of my friends. Oh, Jake Christ is another person I would love to see in MLW. He's super underrated. This generation's Eddie Guerrero, if you ask me. But yeah, there's plenty of people out there that deserve shots, and that that people are sleeping on.
I gotta agree with you. I'm up in the Northeast, so like independent companies up by me, great talents, and companies come here quite a bit. Like WWE has house shows and things like that, but sometimes I feel like these guys up this way don't get the exposure that they should. But there's so many that don't use social media also, you know, that don't get that exposure, which I think is kind of a shame, really, if you think about it.
For sure. It's hard to navigate because, you know, social media is very toxic at times, and it's hard to be a public person in that space. And I also think that people put a little bit too much importance on social media. It's obviously very important, and you should do it and have it. But I think people need to learn how to navigate it a little better, especially being a young wrestler. It's super important to have it and to get the exposure you can off of it, but it's not everything. You have to do it all. You know, that's what I always try to tell people.
Yeah, the problem I have, besides from like the negativity from social media, and the news is like the same way. There's so much negativity in the news that for me, as someone who likes to be positive, doesn't want to watch that. It's just, for me, it can be too much. And now I think we're at a point as human beings that we are extremely wrapped up in social media because there's so many different platforms. X, Instagram, and then Instagram has
Threads,
Threads, Facebook,
TikTok,
Twitch, YouTube. There's so many different ways. I mean, that's not even including like Tumblr and Reddit and all these other different forum board like
Discord
chats, and Discord, another one. There's so much that you almost have to kind of have like a social media manager because there's so much of it, or really pick and choose where your audience is almost.
Yeah. It's super hard to navigate because a lot of times you gotta think these kids come out of a wrestling school and they're in their early 20s, sometimes late teens, and someone goes, okay, you're a public figure now, go get a Twitter and an Instagram and a Facebook and live about your life. And it's like, no, you have to like give them a little bit more hindsight and like a little bit more tips going into it because they're young and they're still figuring out who they are as a person. And so, and then people make mistakes, and then some fans will see it, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, that person's the worst person ever for life. And it's like, well, no, they're probably 20 and said something dumb, like, so it's super hard. It's super hard to navigate because you do see people, get jobs and hired and things, off of tweets or a GIF or something. So they really think that's the way to go, which it is sometimes for some people. But I always say this: wrestling's a long game. It's a marathon. It's not a race, and you don't get good until you're too old to do anything about it. That's usually the way it goes. So enjoy the journey, not the destination.
Yeah. Now I do have to. How do you keep up with all the different social media platforms with having such a busy schedule?
I have always been kind of like tapped into that stuff. Like I remember I got a Twitter in like 2010 or something like that. I got a YouTube in 2005. I used to have one of those director accounts. I think my account is still like technically like a director's account on YouTube, which was different when they first started. So I've always been kind of up on that. I just make sure to post promotional stuff, and I know when I need to post my little get everybody riled up stuff, get them retweeting and things like that. I just don't live and die by it. I used to vanity search all the time. I really don't do that anymore. I don't really care what people think of me, especially people on Twitter or X. It's like the dregs of humanity there. So, but it's just about having the right mindset going in and knowing that this is not real. And that it's just, I always tell kids that social media is like putting seasoning on your food. It ain't the meal. It's just a little something extra. So be good at wrestling, make good choices, be a good person, make good business choices, and the rest will happen.
I agree. Great advice for those younger talents coming up in the professional wrestling world. Now, you are no stranger to the Anawahi family.
Yes.
And do you have something out for them? You both your championships in MLW have come at the cost of an Anawahi / Fatu family member.
Yeah, I mean, it's just not fair. They're so good. and just naturally, and it's really frustrating. As someone who has had to work hard, very, very hard to be okay at this. And they are it's just like they're born to do this. Jacob Fatu is probably the most naturally gifted and talented wrestler I've ever worked with in all of my years in wrestling. Like he is a 1 in a million, and it just blows my mind. And yeah, it's annoying. He just has a punchable face.
Now, the National Openweight Championship is your first singles championship in MLW, as you had previously won the MLW Tag Team Championship. So what was it like to, not only win, your first championship in MLW being the tag team, but also what was it like to win your first singles championship in the company?
It was awesome, especially to do in less than a year, and then to do it with a guy like Fite, who is a pillar of MLW, if you will, for lack of a better term. He's been here since day one. He's been the guy for years, and for me, it was like the ushering in of a new era of a bit of more edgy MLW, a bit more getting back to MLW's roots. And what better way than to solidify yourself in when you're fresh in a company, in your rookie year in the company, to be one of the best wrestlers in the world.
Yeah, and it's truly amazing. And I have to ask, after Thursday, what plans do you have for the remainder of 2023 in MLW? And what do you have in store for 2024?
Well, 2023, I mean, at this point, 2023 is basically over. Let's enjoy the holidays. That's what I'll say. I'll give MLW a break from my reign of terror. But 2024, for me, in my personal life, professional life, and in my MLW life, is growth. That's my goal, is to grow as a person, as a wrestler, as a backstage producer, agent, player, coach, whatever my role at MLW is officially called. It's just about growing. I want to grow the company. MLW's been putting on some banger shows and like really very entertaining stuff, palatable, easy to watch, great production, great wrestlers. I mean, what's not to like, And that's not just me saying that because they pay me money. I honestly, truly believe. I watch the show and I'm like, man, this is fun. This is like a good show. So for me, it's just about growth. And I want to take this company and get it as big as I can, which is my goal for every place that I've wrestled. And I just want to become the best version of me inside and outside of the ring. And I want to help the next generation going forward. And, I'm really getting to do that working backstage. So, yeah, growth. That's my word for 2024.
I like that word, growth. And speaking of growth, there are a lot of talents that you have worked with that have also grown. And I'm going to list off some names here. Darby Allin, Orange Cassidy, Wheeler Yuta, wins and losses versus the current AEW champion, MJF, former WWE United States champion, Austin Theory. What was it like working with these guys and seeing the success they're having now?
I mean, it's great. Especially someone like MJF, let's say, for example, is a very good friend of mine. I'm friends with his dad on Facebook, the Paleo King himself. So, when he first started, I was around, and he had moved to Ohio for a little bit and was training there. So I would get in cars with him, and he always just kind of had it. But although he doesn't act like it, he was always a bit humble and asked questions, even though he acted like he knew everything, which he still does. He always was growing and learning, and and also just teaching me about like life. Like honestly, like I think MJF was like the first Jewish person I ever really like hung out with or like knew on a personal level. It's just I was never around many Jewish people when I was younger. So he taught me a lot about that kind of stuff, smartened me up to that, things that he went through in life. So it's cool to see these people grow and go on WrestleMania. Like I'm really good friends with Pete Dunne, Butch, and I helped him out when he first came over to the States and had a tour, and now he's Butch. He's the man at WWE. He's been on WrestleManias. He's done takeovers. He's won titles. I'm super proud of him. I always will be. So I love being the guy on the indies that everybody knows and has gone through, and I've helped as many people as I can, because that's what I always am good at. I'm good at helping people. So I'm super pumped for all those people. Max particularly Max. I know you're probably not going to see this, but love you, buddy. And like, I'm super pumped that you're in a movie and stuff.
Yeah, speaking, he's the Iron Claw.
Yeah,
Incredible.
he helped me get my job at MLW. Yeah, he was putting me over to the higher ups here, and that was one of the reasons that they hired me. So he hasn't forgot, and that's and I think that pretty much sums up Max right there.
That's a whole nother side of Max that I've never seen, because I'll be honest with you, when I interviewed him and he had just signed with AEW, I'm not a big guy by any means.
Mhm.
I'm 200 pounds, 205. Depends on how many Dr. Peppers I have, I guess.
I love a Dr. Pepper.
Oh, it drives me crazy. It's my favorite. So I meet him in Binghamton, New York.
2CW.
Excite Wrestling, but 2CW
okay.
Syracuse. Very sad. I don't know if you heard this or not. I'll go back to this.
Yeah.
You remember Jack Trades?
The name. I don't know. I barely went out there.
Oh yeah, he had passed away recently of cancer.
Oh no, that's terrible.
Yeah. But yeah, no, 2CW did run Binghamton shows as well. And then Johnny Moose, who is part of 2CW, he split off and created Excite Wrestling out of Binghamton.
I know.
Oh yeah, love both shows. Been to both multiple times. Phenomenal. But it was Excite Wrestling, and MJF had just signed with AEW, and we're doing an interview, and he's. I think the first words out of his mouth were something about, no one's probably listening to this show, so come on, you fat bastard, what do you got for me? And I couldn't not laugh at it. It was just so funny. It was just so funny. And like, I wouldn't edit it out because I was like, I know this is.
Yeah.
I should probably hear worse, but
he's a prick. He's like that in real life, but he just turns it up so much. But, even as your friend, you have to be like, "Hey, man, like, can you stop, please?"
But it's really cool to hear like a story like that. Like that's something you don't hear often, especially with MJF. He's
a good dude, and again, another person I'm super super proud of. Like, there's a term, and Americans don't use it much. It's a British thing called grafting, which just means you're always like working hard, and he's a grafter. He just works and works and works, and it's paying off, and super happy for him.
Yeah, it's really great to see him, especially watching the progress just grow and grow and grow. It's, as you said, growth. Everything's about growth.
Yes,
which is incredible. And speaking of growth, what is in store for the calling in 2024 in MLW?
Same thing, brother. Growth. I'd like to add some more members. I have ideas, and more gold. So that was always the goal. But I'm really happy with Talon and Cannonball right now, and I'm really excited for the future.
If you don't mind me asking, any members in particular you would like to add?
That one I'm going to keep close to the vest, but you never know. I mean, I said a lot of names earlier, so.
Very true, very true. Now, I do have to ask, if you could go back to the beginning of your career, what would you tell yourself?
Work out, go to the gym. It is something that I struggle with to this day. I hate it. I hate working out. I wish that I would have instilled that in myself when I was younger, just so it's like a part of my life instead of something that I feel I have to punish myself and do. I wish I had a better relationship with exercise and working out. I do. That would be my one thing, because if there's anything that anyone could ever say about me that I did wrong, was that I wasn't in shape. And I do think that wrestling needs to have more guys that look like me. I will say that. But I think it's about a healthy thing as well. I think my body would have probably held up a little bit better doing the style that I did as long as I did, and if I would have took care of myself. And I regret that.
All right. I feel you on that one because since basically I've stopped working out, I've had a foot of my intestines removed, my gallbladder removed. Tried to get back into working out, torn my labrum. So I believe it or not, I just stick to DDP, yoga, and walking.
Good. It's better than nothing, man. That's
Yeah.
and that's what I wish I would have really instilled that in myself at a younger age. But it is what it is. Now I can tell people how I messed up, and hopefully they learn from that.
Right. One thing I do like to talk about is professional wrestling and mental health. I am somebody who is been on record multiple times. I have depression. I have this thing called tinnitus in my ears.
The ringing in your ear.
Yeah, nonstop, and it's caused depression, ADHD, insomnia. I have a little bit of like short-term memory loss. Um, throughout your career, have like you ever experienced any like lows where you've like stepped back or anything?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I've definitely taken a couple months off. This was when I was in 2016, maybe. Yeah, I just took a little time. I had to reset. Happens to everybody. I'm very much a private person, and I do think that everybody needs to check on their mental health. Maybe go see a professional. Do what you got to do to get right. And that's something that I've been doing lately, and it's been very rewarding. So I definitely think that anybody else should do the same. And I mean, you don't, I obviously talk about it, but you don't have to go on the internet and talk about it. You could just talk about it to a friend or something, and or a professional. I think a lot of people will use Twitter as a therapist sometime, and it's like, they don't have a degree, so maybe, you know. So yeah, just I mean, I hate to say, and it's just something I say to myself all the time, but just go outside. I'm an indoor kitty. I get it, but it's just got to get your mind right. Got to get your mind right.
Yeah, and if you're in upstate New York and you work a schedule like me, you don't see the light of day now till March.
Yeah, Ohio's the same way, man. It's dark at 3:45. It's terrible.
Yeah, it's terrible. Like I was bringing my girlfriend home at like 4 o'clock, and I'm like, walked out the door. I'm like, oh, yep, it's pitch black out.
Yeah.
This is great.
Yeah,
This is cool.
Yeah, definitely this time of year. But yeah, mental health is definitely super important, especially for wrestlers. And yeah, just deal with it however you need to deal with it, and do it the right way, because we've lost some people, and no one wants to see that. So take a shower, go outside, take your meds.
Please. And if not, talk to somebody. Talk to a friend. Rickey, December 7th, Fite Plus.
Yes.
This could, unless you go to social media, could possibly be the last message you have for Jimmy Llyod in your match. What would you like to? Do you have anything you want to say to him?
Oh, strap in, Jimbo. It's time. Let's go. You haven't seen this in a while. A little bit different nowadays.
So fans, remember, Fite Plus tomorrow, Thursday, December 7th, 7 p.m. Again, you can download and subscribe to Fite Plus and get a 7-day free trial and basically watch MLW's One Shot for free. So make sure you're there tomorrow night at 7. Rickey, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to speak with me today, especially right before this big pay-per-view match you have for your MLW National Openweight Championship. I want to wish you the best of luck. And do you have any last message for the fans?
Thank you.
And where can they follow you on social media?
Just Google me. You'll find me. I don't really care.
So fans, remember tomorrow, 7 p.m. Fight Plus MLW with the World Titan Federation's One Shot. Make sure you're there. And remember, spoiler freeze, the way to be. We're out.